The waste of the week goes to U.S. tax dollars spent on social media bloggers in Tajikistan and public unions receiving COVID relief funds. Joining us right now, the president and CEO of OPENTHEBOOKS.com, Adam Andrzejewski. Adam, good morning to you. I want to start with Tajikistan, if I'm saying it right. I hope I am. I had to look it up on the map this morning. It borders China on the west, Afghanistan to the north. The U.S. sending $500,000 to that country to help support independent media bloggers. Let's talk about what the grant states. It states we're going to support projects that raise the quality and quantity of visual content created by amateur journalists and bloggers in order to expand their audience with attractive content. Okay, talk us through this, Adam. Why is the U.S. using taxpayer dollars for this?
Well, it's a waste. It's the waste of the week, Jan. And so it's a perfect example of the waste that's in our foreign aid budget. Look, this is $500,000. It's a lot of money. And I don't think the American people, want to see their money being spent overseas in this fashion. For example, every single year on foreign aid, we spend up to $50 billion a year. And if that was treated in the same manner as federal aid to the states, if you compared the federal aid to the states versus our U.S. foreign aid, our foreign aid would dwarf the federal payments to 48 states. Only California and New York receive more money. So it's incumbent upon all of us to drill down into that number and find the waste. And this is a great example.
So what are these bloggers covering on their social media platforms? And when these grants are doled out, it makes you wonder, what is the vetting process? Who's in charge? Where are the checks and balances? Where do those come into play?
Well, this is a grant that just went up on the State Department procurement website asking for grantees to apply. Okay, there's also another component to this that is particularly troubling. They're going to train these bloggers, these quote unquote local journalists, with the promise to fund them even more for those that show that they can do a quote unquote good job. Well, this is government funding journalists, and that is quite simply Soviet. But the Biden administration, even in its Build Back Better bill here domestically, wanted to fund local journalists, tax credits for media organizations to the tune of billions of dollars, $50,000 per journalist. So this looks like it's right out of the Biden playbook, unfortunately.
Yeah, and during the State of the Union, speaking of President Biden, he announced he would crack down on people who stole billions of dollars in COVID relief aid. And you've been talking about this since the very beginning because it has been just abused so much. You just found a report by the Freedom Foundation that accused unions of receiving 226 loans that they were actually ineligible for. So break this down for us. First, let's talk about who is and who is not eligible and why unions are not for this type of relief.
So on round one of the Paycheck Protection Plan loans and grants, unions were not eligible. We know this because the law changed by December 2020. But in March of 2020, the unions were 501c6 organizations. They're not public charities. Those dollars were meant for mom and pop businesses on Main Street or public charities, 501c3s. So the unions on that round one, when many mom and pop businesses were closed out of those loans and grants, they scooped up nearly $37 million. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, that is quite a lot of money. And while these technically were loans initially, it was made clear that so long as the recipients didn't lay off any staff, the loan would be forgiven. And essentially, this is a grant program. The irony of public sector unions receiving funds is that unions are funded how? By taking a percentage of its members' pay. So did unions see a major change in revenue?
Well, look, nobody in the government sector lost their jobs. The kids might have not been in school, but the teachers, they all got paid. So did everybody else at the school district. So they were able to pay their union dues. Really, was there financial hardship for these unions that scooped up round one PPP money to the tune of $37 million? Congress needs to crack down. There must be an investigation right now.
Adam Andrzejewski, always great to talk to you. Have a great weekend. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.